Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. Last week, Maya Ponsetto, the infamous Soho Karen, who racially profiled a 14-year-old black boy, decided to go on CBS this morning and have an interview with Gayle King. Now, in this interview, Maya Ponsetto was supposed to present her side of the story. However, when I took a critical examination of that interview, I could see how the white supremacists in the mainstream media were trying to make an effort to try to humanize Maya Ponsetto, a Hispanic woman, in an effort to try to make the story of the 14-year-old black boy seem like it wasn't just about race. However, as this interview with Gayle King went on, Maya Ponsetto, because she did not understand the subtle politics transpiring about her, decided not to use the platform in an effort to humanize herself. Instead, she wound up incriminating herself. Now, Maya Ponsetto, as I was watching the interview and watching it from a critical eye, participated in many of the behaviors many of these men who go their own way talk about as related to female nature. And as I was watching the interview, Maya Ponsetto participated in the behavior of narcissism from minute one. And instead of her making the interview about trying to present an apologetic tone, she decided to go out here and make herself into a victim. So that's how she started out as a narcissist, because everything was all about her and everything was all about her getting her way. And when we literally look at that whole interview, when we look at the outfit she had a hat on that said daddy. So this Hispanic girl not only was spoiled, but clearly had daddy issues. And as she continued to speak in this interview, she made it all about her, and she made it all about her being the victim in this situation, meanwhile never taking any sort of accountability for her actions. Because as the interview went on, it was always somebody else's fault, but never her fault. Typical female behavior as related to female nature, but also typical racist female behavior, because here is a woman who goes into a hotel worried about her phone, but goes directly to target the young black boy in the room. And when Gayle King asks her why she went to that black boy, she then goes on to deflect by saying she went to talk to other people. However, the video clearly shows that she targeted that black boy first, and she targeted him because he was black. And when she was asked this by Gayle King, she then deflected and focused on herself yet again, talking about how she's so sweet, but nobody who is sweet or kind goes and targets a young black boy over a phone. No, a woman who is genuinely kind, even though she is anxious about losing her phone, would go to the concierge desk and ask them to help her target that phone by either calling the phone directly or going and trying to borrow one of the hotel's computers to go and use the Find My iPhone app. That's what somebody who isn't racist does. But Maya Ponsetto, who just is in deep denial about her racist views about heterosexual black men, she goes to target the 14-year-old black boy who she sees with her phone. And again, the only reason why she does this is because she was raised to be a racist, and in her eyes, a black person is somebody who steals. Because a lot of Hispanics have this view of black people, and many in the mainstream media don't want to put that out there. But as somebody who has lived around Hispanics, I can tell you that many Hispanics have this view that whenever a black person enters their bodega, they go around and watch them because they believe the black person is going to steal. Meanwhile, their Hispanic buddies who hang out at the store, they're in there practically eating and drinking food for free, and they never go after those people. I mean, I've encountered that at 13, 14 years old when I used to go to the bodega when I was in junior high school and high school. I mean, practically being watched and followed. So I know where that 14-year-old young brother is coming from as related to these Hispanics and their racism. So I've experienced that, and I know that that's what happened with this Maya Ponsetto. She was racially profiling this young black boy because out of all the people who were in that lobby, she targeted that young black boy, and then she went to physically assault that young black boy. So that showed me right there that this woman is a racist, and your white supremacists in the mainstream media, they wanted to try to find a way to try to humanize this woman so that they could make her appear to be innocent. Unfortunately, this whole thing backfired on these white supremacists in mainstream media, and this female went out of her way to not only incriminate herself, but convict herself in the court of public opinion. And after she did this interview, she practically showed absolutely no remorse. And after showing no remorse whatsoever, she shows us all that she's a virulent racist, has no respect for black people, and is irredeemable in any way, shape, or form. Because here you are on a national platform in front of the entire world, and instead of showing any sort of remorse, this narcissistic female then goes on to make it all about her, never takes any sort of responsibility, never takes any sort of accountability for her actions, and then goes on to show us all how racist she truly is. And just after this interview, she winds up getting arrested by the NYPD, and I'm hoping that that 14-year-old boy and his father have enough backbone and stones to do the right thing and take this woman to trial, because this racist Hispanic female needs to be held accountable for her actions, and we need to start establishing the legal precedent as related to establishing a boundary for how our civil rights will be handled in this 21st century. Because this case with Maya Ponsetto, as I see it, is the first step in establishing a boundary for black men, because these Karens need to start understanding where the line is as related to how we're treated in this country. And part of taking our respect back as black men is us standing strong and standing firm and establishing that boundary to hold these females accountable for their reckless, irresponsible, and egregious behaviors, and let them know that if they go out of their way to not only physically assault us, but lie and try to use those lies as justification to do harm to us, you will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, and you will be punished by the criminal justice system. That is the standard we need to establish as black men to these women like Maya Ponsetto, and we need to start establishing that legal precedent. And that's why I'm hoping that this young brother, as he's traumatized by this incident, has the perseverance and the heart to go on, because this case is not just about him, it's about every black man who goes out here and goes to stores or goes outside. We have a right to have our freedom without being targeted by racists who want to believe the worst about us and then use that as a justification to participate in a provocation against us. we deserve a boundary set legally to protect our rights. And this young brother, he has to stand strong and not be like that coward Christian Cooper who decided not to cooperate with the prosecutor's office as related to Amy Cooper. But I also see, as related to this Maya Ponsetto case, a standard as related to race. We see with Amy Cooper, Christian Cooper didn't want to participate, but with this Hispanic woman, we see that she's out here, and I'm seeing how the white supremacists are in some ways trying to establish a precedent as related to the Hispanic woman versus the white woman, and again trying to play games with this interpretation. But we have to draw a line as related to these white women, Hispanic women, all of these women, letting them know that they're not going to racially profile us and they're not going to tell lies on us and take things back to the dark days of Jim Crow, where a black man could wind up losing his life and or his freedom, all based on the allegations of a woman. And that needs to be established for black men and black boys. But this Maya Ponsetto, she practically went out here, white supremacy gave her a platform, and as she ran her mouth, she wound up going out here and incriminating herself. So your white supremacists, they wanted to use their mammy, Gayle King, to go out here and be able to try to clean up this woman's image. Unfortunately, what happened was, as this woman continued to run her mouth and she got on that platform, she got enough rope to hang herself, and she got enough rope to go out here and convict herself, because this female, many people are calling her a spoiled brat. No, she's not just a spoiled brat. She's a racist and a white supremacist, and she's somebody who needs to, again, be punished to the fullest extent of the law, because this is the type of female who would go out here and tell a lie on a black boy and practically destroy his life with a false conviction, and then go on with her life for years, the same way Carolyn Donham went on with her life after she murdered Emmett Till, and the way many other white women have gone on with their lives after having a black man sit in jail for 25, 30, 40 years, then come back out and say, oh, it wasn't him, but that man lost time out of his life, and he lost precious moments with his family, all based on her lies. And we need to start, again, setting a line and a boundary for black men so that we can have our rights protected, because this female's egregious behavior, she has no remorse whatsoever, and she has no regard for anybody out here, any black man out here. Again, she's showing us that your Hispanic can be just as racist as a white woman in her actions. And it's clear to me that this female, again, she incriminated herself in that interview with Gayle King, and she showed us all, as this chess game was going on, that if you give a white supremacist enough rope, they'll hang themselves. And because many of these people think that they're so overconfident as related to the chess game, they wind up checkmating themselves. Now, if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to pick up some of my positive books featuring black characters, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Haynes series, the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, or the Thetas, you can find many of those positive black fiction books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find many of them on Smashwords, the iBook Store, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spinsterella. Discover the dark side of love in this goth and lovely romance with Spinsterella. Get Spinsterella in paperback and e-readers at your favorite online bookseller today.